Just had an interview. Let me change to something more comfortable. They say that fate can move mountains. But what if it sets them on fire instead? When devotion becomes such an absolute that people would rather burn the world instead of doubt, well, fate isn't just a source of hope, but it becomes a weapon of mass destruction. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Nerd Pain Rant, a series in which I try to make a creative living out of my 2 degrees in criminology. Today we're going to talk about a show in which the concept of fate and devotion represent a pillar of the entire storytelling. Weird and dynamic, today we're talking, of course, about Fire Force. But before we continue, if you enjoy this channel, leave a like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. It would be much appreciated. Written and illustrated by Atsushi Okubo from 2015 to 2022, which reminds me, when it finished in Italy we had a very special variant to celebrate the conclusion of the manga. I would have liked to get it, but you f***ing scalpers swarmed every single comic store in Milan, so now I have nothing, and you are what's wrong with this community. And I'm talking to you, you are the same who vandalized the Van Gogh Museum that didn't allow me to get a nice Pikachu. Fire Force is set in a dystopian future, in which humans are randomly subjected to spontaneous cases of combustion, transforming them in mindless monsters called Infernals. To combat these terrifying creatures, a special organization known as Fire Force is formed, composed of firefighters, in which some of them are granted incredible pyrokinetic abilities. The story follows Shinra Kusakabe, a young boy with the ability to spark flames from its feet, as he joins the Special Fire Force Company No. 8, a unit that, alongside fighting the Infernals, is being tasked with investigating on the mystery of the combustion phenomenon. Blamed for both the death of his mother and his younger brother in a fire, Shinra enrolls in the Fire Force not only to prove people wrong by becoming a hero in the eyes of the general public, but to gather information and understanding what truly happened to his family. But how do we approach Fire Force from a criminological perspective? To understand the angle we are going to use in this episode, we need to do a little bit of a detour and understand the context in which Fire Force takes place. Throughout the story and the narration, we understand that faith and religion play a fundamental role in people's life, so that devotion and prayers represent a standard practice for the inhabitants of the world. And that makes sense. In a reality in which people can randomly catch fire on their way to the office or while having dinner with their family, fear and uncertainty run wild. With that being such a predominant element of people's life, potentially happening at any given moment of the day, religion offers a safe harbor, a separate dimension of existence to which people can rely on. Because of that, in the world of Fire Force, religion plays a fundamental role, becoming pivotal for the plot progression and transforming, thanks to the strong and interconnected ties between religion and state, the one depicted into the Fire Force, the Tokyo Empire, in a religious government. Because of the rooted interconnection between state and religion, understanding the role played by faith and belief is fundamental to understand the atrocities that have been committed in Fire Force. And to understand the importance of faith and belief, no concept is better suited than the Charismatic Authority by Max Weber. Considered one of the founding fathers of sociology, Max Weber reflecting on the concept of charisma and applied that concept to the idea of organizational leadership. According to Weber, 3 are the possible classifications of authority, intended as the form of power that is accepted by the subordinates: traditional, legal, and charismatic. The traditional leadership is the one that is based on culture and tradition, that finds its strength in the progression throughout history. The rational legal authority is a system that is based on rules and administration, and is found on norms and regulations. While the third, the charismatic authority, is a system that is based on personal charm and fascination towards specific individuals. While the first two, the traditional and the rational legal system, tend to follow a predictable pattern based on the proven history record, the charismatic leadership is always characterized by a structural component of unpredictability, completely depending on the nature of the leader. According to Weber, what makes this kind of figure so charismatic and charming is the fact that they possess certain amount of qualities that set them apart from the ordinary man. Said qualities are not accessible to ordinary people, and because of that, these individuals are always highly regarded as something that transcends humanity. While this may allow for a fast and consistent rise to power, the fundamental element of this authority lies in the nature of the leader, and the fact that it needs to prove consistently that he's something different from its subordinates. Because of that, while the traditional and the rational legal system of authority lack the charm aspect that is though compensated by material results, the charismatic authority constantly needs the support of its people. Because of that, according to Weber, the charismatic leadership is the most fragile and unstable, with the highest potential due to the great capability of inspiring people, but also the most fragile due to the fact that a single mistake from the leader can make the entirety of the organization crumble. The second the faith in the leader is lost, so is the legitimacy of its authority. Now, how do we apply the concept of charismatic authority to the case study of fivefolds? And I am very sorry, but from this moment on, this is gonna be a spoiler alert for everyone that is anime only. To do that, we need to understand the religious infrastructure of the Holy Soul Temple, the dominant religion in the Tokyo Empire. This religion teaches to its followers that the world was originally destroyed by the Great Cataclysm that burned down every culture of the world. In the remaining ashes of the devastation, one of the few survivals, Raphael, find a sacred flame known as Adola, and with its incredible power he was able to rebuild civilization. With his authority, Raphael found the Holy Soul Temple, a religion that unites the country in the worshipping of the sun, a caring and loving movement that allows the suffering people to find a peaceful way to deal with the devastation around them. Or at least, that's the facade. Because we find out that everything that is being presented to the general public is actually a lie, uncovering the real meaning and purpose of the church and the dark origin of said religion. Raphael of the original story is actually an impostor, whose appearance was taken by the demonic Yona. Coming from Adola or Hell, Yona reached the Earth after the original cataclysm, with a single terrifying purpose: starting a new cataclysm that would have engulfed the entirety of the world into flame, following the directive of his actual true god, the Evangelist. To do so, Yona, impersonating Raphael, create a new religion, the Holy Soul Temple, whose purpose is not the one of comforting the souls of those terrified people, but to subconsciously manipulate their mind, making them believe that the only way to achieve salvation is to become one with the flame. The only way in which suffering can be put to an end is to transform Earth in a new sun. The more we deep in the story, the more we understand that Yona and the church are the one actually creating the Infernals, setting people on fire and transforming them in mindless monsters with the sole purpose of fueling people's desperation, directing them to the false hope of religion. The more people start to fear death, the more people will start to rely on religion to numb their pain. The more the ranks of the Holy Soul Temple grow, the closer Earth and humanity go to the final extinction. Because this is the final intent and plan of the true god of the story, the Evangelist, the supernatural being that nothing desires other than destruction. And the more the story progresses, the more we learn that everybody in the inner circle of the Soul Temple knows the truth about the religion, and they accept their role as pawn in a divine chess game, because completely devoted and mesmerized by the one true God, able to transcend any aspect of humanity and to incarnate the concept of divine in its pure form. This is the Evangelist, able to transcend time and space, capable of abilities above any form of human comprehension. With her calm and imposing demeanor, the Evangelist is naturally and blindly worshipped and followed. And because of that, she becomes the perfect subject to apply the concept of charismatic authority by Max Weber. The Evangelist presents incredible features, extraordinary qualities that cannot be replicated or obtained by humanity in any form whatsoever. With her immense power and endless knowledge, the Evangelist is able to manipulate the eternal flame of Adola, harnessing its power and granting its grace to whomever she deems worthy. Eternal and immortal, the Evangelist is able to move across realms, freely moving from Earth to Hell. And thanks to her knowledge and her ability to transcend time and space, we find out that she is the origin of the concept that humanity has for God. The Evangelist has been visiting Earth throughout the ages, inspiring humanity since its first development, carving in their mind the idea, the concept of divine. The faith and the obedience that the Evangelist creates are pure and absolute. Her followers not only believe that she is the one and only God, but are willing to sacrifice everything and everyone to fulfill her view. From the perspective of the Holy Soul Temple follower, nothing can stand in the way on the Great Cataclysm. The earth will simply become a second sun, following the will of the Evangelist. The most emblematic example on how this aspect of charismatic authority works is given to us in the character of Leon Burns, the priest and captain of the First Division. For the vast majority of the story, Burns has been considered the strongest firefighter with upstanding moral integrity, becoming the perfect incarnation of ethic standards. But while he was nurturing doubts toward the legitimacy of the religion that led him to investigate on the true origin of the faith, his direct contact with the Evangelist changed his perspective. The moment in which Leonard Burns sees this divine and purely perfect figure, his conviction stops wavering, and he finds a new, strong and reborn resolution in the Evangelist's vision. Completely trusting her perception and judgment, Burns turns into a matter of seconds from allies to antagonist, becoming the Arno wing of the god, willing to destroy anything that is in the way of his God Divine's plan. With a revolutionary view, the Evangelist perfectly encapsulates the concept of charismatic authority that was described to us by Weber, able to masterfully harness the chaos created by the moment of crisis, in this case the Great Cataclysm, to create a new system that revolves around her own persona. Her perfect, otherworldly figure, alongside her unique capabilities, make the Evangelist able to inspire generations in following her principles and views, no matter how devastating and self-destructive they are. Thanks to the blind devotion that her follower has shown them throughout the centuries and ages, we can see how the Evangelist becomes the perfect representation and culmination of Weber's worst scenario, a perfect charismatic leader, able to move the masses thanks to her sole presence, able to lead them to self-destruction for her own pleasure. And now you have it. You know a little bit more about criminology and mostly sociology this week than 10 minutes ago. And the next time you are at the dinner party and you want to impress the rest of the table, you can always go, "Did it ever occur to you that a religious leader can exploit their charismatic nature to shape the influence of their followers, manipulating their behavioral codes that, if followed by blind devotion, can cause the collapse of society?" But what do you think? Do you think the charismatic authority from Weber well applies to the case of the Evangelist? What other theories could have been applied? Please let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this episode, what we have been doing so far, and want to support me and this channel, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And if you want to hear me on a semi-daily basis, also don't forget to check the other social media pages. Thanks again for joining me today, and up until next time, have a nice rest of the evening.